Well, let's start with well. So 5 goes to 8. Charging, then rush, alright.
De grootste aanbieding van het jaar, 11 november op AliExpress.
This one is this yours? Charge.
De grootste aanbieding van het jaar, 11 november op AliExpress.
Alright. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you wherever you are. We are coming to you live from Amsterdam from the ClogCon2017 Invitational. We are currently in round 2 of the Masters Tournament. My name is George Busher, and I will be your host for this game, and hopefully for many more to come. We are seeing right here a matchup between Jarle Svensson and Egil Fusdal, currently in round 2. Both of them are coming from Norway. They are both currently undefeated for this game, having won their first round respectively. We are seeing featuring a Cygnar versus Cygnar mirror match, where Egil playing Nemo3 into Jarle's Haley3. Let's first take a look at the scenario. The scenario we will be playing one day their first round standoff, featuring from the 2016 roller to the 2017 match, having 2 rectangular zones in the middle, which can be scored for 1 CP through Warjack's battle engines. Let's first take a look at the scenario. We have a objective, respectively, from each player within those zones from the 2016 roller maintain it, and then we have 2 rectangular zones in the middle, which can be scored for infantry and Warjack's battle engines. Let's first take a look at the scenario, we have a objective. Currently in the deployment phase, those zones Thor has already set up, and then we have two round zones having won the role to go first. Yarla is setting up now. Let's take a quick look at the list. So Thor is bringing Nemo3, currently a Firefly and Thunderhead in battle group. Thor has already 2 Storm Striders, an Arlen Strangeways Junior with a Firefly, and Yarla is setting up now. 2 Stormcrawlers and 2. So Thor is bringing Nemo3, currently a Firefly and Thunderhead. Yarla will be bringing 2 Storm Haley3. He has 2 Grenadiers and Thorn in battle group. He has Finn, 2 Storm because he's playing on the Gravediggers theme. He has Hitch, he has a dog, he has a Buster, 2 of which, 1 of which is free. He has a Ragman, and then he has a Haley unit of Trencher Infantry, and 2 Grenadiers and Thorn in he has Trenchers GS and an Alexio theme. He has Hitch, he has a dog, he has a Buster, 2 of so he's just setting up his deployment zone right now, and then he has Haley unit of Trencher Infantry, and started Grenadiers and Thorn he has Trenchers GS and an Alexio theme. He has Hitch, he has a dog. Thor has decided to not play just setting up his deployment zone right now. His other 2 lists are a Striker 1 list, with a Stormwall and Hurricane, and a Haley 2 list featuring 2 Storm Striders. And the reason he has Thor has decided to not play. Yarla, on the other hand, is playing exclusively in theme. His other 2 lists being Haley 2 and Nemo3, both of which are a Stormwall and Hurricane, and a Haley 2 list featuring 2 Storm Striders. So Thor, and the reason he has is taking the first turn, positioning Yarla on the Storm Lances exclusively in theme to threaten his other 2 lists being Haley Trenchers and deploy Trenchers next turn. Stormwall and Hurricane, and he's obviously going to put up a serious fight for that top zone. So Thor is taking the first turn, positioning Yarla on the Storm Lances exclusively in theme. So the main considerations we want to have here, obviously, is we want to take a look at how this might potentially play out, and he's obviously going to put up a serious fight for that top zone. Strong assassination potential, or whether we're going to be seeing a long, grindy attrition game with a heavy focus on scenarios. I personally predict so the main considerations we want to have, we will be seeing a piece by piece attrition war, especially for the first 3 rounds of the game, after which the scenario scoring will become an all-important attrition game with a heavy focus on scenarios. I personally predict Thor obviously having the advantage of seeing 2 Storm Striders and a Thunderhead being attrition war, especially for the first 3 rounds of infantry, firepower, couple that with the Storm Lancers on both flanks here, very good maneuverability on the flanks, with a solid gunline in the middle. 2 Storm Striders. The question is, will it be able to get through Haley3's defensive tech? That is the big question. This couple that with the Storm Lancers, that will largely determine how the attrition war goes. Maneuverability, whether or not the Gravediggers' defense solid gun capabilities will be able to get them through this matchup. Will it be able to get through Haley3's defensive tech? That is the big question. This couple that with the Storm Lancers, that will largely determine how the attrition war goes. Maneuverability, whether or not the Gravediggers' defense solid gun capabilities will be able to get them through this matchup. Will it be able to get through Haley3's defensive tech? That is the big question. This couple that with the Storm Lancers, that will largely determine how the attrition war goes. Maneuverability, whether or not the Gravediggers' defense solid gun capabilities will be able to get them through this matchup. Will it be able to get through Haley3's defensive tech? That is the big question. This couple that with the Storm Lancers, that will largely determine how the attrition war goes. Maneuverability, whether or not the Gravediggers' defense. So we see the proxy bases going out for the Storm Striders, just making sure his positioning is solid. There we go. So what we're seeing here from Thor is he is going to attempt to utilize his greater maneuverability and the fact that he has first turn to build the concave around Jarla's army. There we go. And then hopefully be able to contest. So what we're seeing here from Thor is and control is going to either this top zone, his bottom zone, and his own zone, and the fact that he was trying to whittle away at Jarla's infantry. Build the concave. Jarla obviously is going to try and counter jam, and then hopefully be able to contest. So we're going to be seeing how this plays out. Control is going to either this top zone, his bottom zone, and very strong push. Both trying to whittle away flanking to circular zones. Build the concave. Jarla obviously by the Nemo3 player to try and counter jam this first turn, and then hopefully be able to contest. So we're going to be seeing how this plays out. Control is going to either this top zone, his bottom zone, and very strong push. Both trying to whittle away flanking to circular zones. Build the concave. Jarla obviously by the Nemo3 player to try and counter jam this first turn, and then hopefully be able to contest. So we're going to be seeing how this plays out. Control is going to either this top zone, his bottom zone, and very strong push. Both trying to whittle away flanking to circular zones. Build the concave. Jarla obviously by the Nemo3 player to try and counter jam this first turn, and then hopefully be able to contest. So we're going to be seeing how this plays out. Control. So we have Thunderhead taking a central position. Very strong push. With Nemo3 right behind. And we have the Storm Lancers pushing up the flanks. So we have Thunderhead taking a central position heavy first turn by Tor. Really setting up to try and get as much damage in Nemo3 right behind turn 2 as possible. So I'm very curious to see where this is going to go. Jarla obviously will try to minimize the effects of Tor's shooting as much as possible. And we have utilizing the clouds up the flanks. Line of sight blocking terrain with the forest in the middle of the board. Position heavy first turn by Tor. Really setting up to try and get as much damage in Nemo3 right behind turn 2 the fantastic tough no knockdown. So I'm very curious to see where this is going to go. Jarla obviously will try to minimize the effects of Tor's shooting as much as possible. And we have utilizing the clouds up the flanks. Line of sight blocking terrain with the forest in the middle of the board. Position heavy first turn by Tor. Really setting up to try and get as much damage in Nemo3 right behind turn 2 the fantastic tough no knockdown. So I'm very curious to see where this is going to go. Jarla obviously will try to minimize the effects of Tor's shooting as much as possible. And we have utilizing the clouds up the flanks. Line of sight blocking terrain with the forest in the middle of the board. Position heavy first turn by Tor. Really setting up to try and get as much damage in Nemo3. So Jarla is just planning out his turn now. So I'm very curious to see obviously some major considerations that he has going into this turn is to just he has to find a way to deal with the Storm Lancers and to mitigate their long threat ranges they have over him, and he has to find a way to deal with the Storm Striders, who otherwise, if left alive and unchecked, is just pose a significant threat to his obviously some largely major considerations that he has going into this turn is to, but then again, just he has to find a way to consider Storm Lancers, the defensive bonuses, and to if we consider the dig in, mitigate their consider the toughness they have over him, and he has to find a way to deal with the Storm Striders, who otherwise find himself having a hard time eliminating all of these his jamming trenches that he's going to have to deal with. That he has going into this turn is to, but then again, just he has to find a way to consider not only that, but Jarl himself will dig in, mitigate a fair bit of tough firepower that he's bringing, and he has the cloud wall to keep himself safe. He has anti-shooting tech in the trench busters, all of the shield guards, jamming trenches that he's going to have. We haven't seen that much table time, but now in the new theme, we're very excited to see how they consider not only that, but Jarl himself will dig in a fair bit of tough firepower that he's bringing. And he has the cloud wall to keep himself safe. He has anti-shooting tech in the trench busters, all of the shield guards, jamming trenches that he's going to have. We haven't seen that much table time, but now the question, obviously, that Tor has now, very how do I deal not only that with this kind of shooting denialist that we're seeing right now. We're seeing the trench of smoke wall come up, anti-shooting tech in the completely blocking line of sight to essentially Jarl's entire army for next turn. We haven't seen that much table time, but now the question, finding a way to get those electro leaps through how is going to pose a significant challenge with this kind of shooting, especially if you have to consider that he doesn't want to be exposing his storm striders. We're seeing early on in the game to potentially just get shot and meleeed off the table, completely blocking line of sight to essentially Jarl's entire army for next turn. We haven't seen that much table time, but now the question, finding a way to get those electro leaps through how is going to pose a significant challenge with this kind of shooting, especially Jarl is planning the rest of his turn 1 movement, which is essentially going to be a clustering behind his cloud wall, to set up for a turn 2 push. Let's take a look at the casters and what their abilities are. Jarl's entire army for next turn. Jarl himself is obviously bringing Haley3, finding a way to get those electric prime Victoria Haley. She has an immense spell list in all of her echoes. Jarl is planning the rest of the repudiate turn 1 tactical supremacy and tactical distortion clustering on Haley herself, set up for a turn 2 push, and then chain blast and force the cast on Haley past, alongside the ghost walk and revive of Haley future. Obviously, they are also very powerful scenario pieces in the late game, being able to contest zone. She has an immense spell list and being all of her real pain in the ass. Jarl is domination rest of the turn 1 tactical supremacy and tactical distortion. Tor, on the other hand, is bringing Nemo3 and then Chain Blast, also known as the Artificer General Nemo3, alongside who has Chain Lightning, Electrify, obviously Force Hammer and Lightning Shroud. They are also very powerful scenario pieces in the late game, and brings with him a feat of the additional flag damage die on the magical damage in the ass. Domination rest of turn 1 tactical supremacy. Obviously, but that kind of feat, you want a ranged alpha strike, and then Chain Blast, also known as the Artificer General Nemo3. And the hard part is getting that Chain Lightning when you have to deal with a cloud wall this big, with that many tough models inside him. A feat of the additional flag damage die on the magical damage in the ass. Domination rest of turn 1 tactical supremacy. Obviously, but that kind of feat, you want a ranged alpha strike, and then Chain Blast, also known as the Artificer. So Jarl has, and the hard part, completely bunkered himself up in his own rectangular zone, this big, being just within contest range next turn for the 2 flanking circular zones. With the amount of infantry he has, he should be able to easily send in individual grenadiers, several at a time, into the 2 flanking zones, and the hard part for the next 2 bunking himself up in his own rectangular zone. He can maneuver it in such a way that he will have being just within contest range next turn a contesting piece, which will allow him flanking to expose himself as little as possible, and thus negating the amount of infantry he has, the long threat easily of the cavalry and also shooting danger of the battle engines, several at a time from the Nemo flanking zones. For the next two bunkers himself up his own rectangular zone, he can maneuver it in such a way that he will have being just within contest range next turn, a contesting piece, so allow him, as in the first game, to expose himself as little as possible. Somewhat of a metagame between the long thread gun lines who try to control the cavalry, and also the anti-gun lines, the battle engines, several at a time, who seek to weather the storm and then hit back very hard, especially so he can maneuver it in such a way that he will have being just within contest range next turn, a contesting piece, so allow him, as in the first game, to expose himself of somewhat one of a major thing that Yard needs to be concerned about. Gun lines potential to control thunderhead, pulse, and also the anti-gun lines in Nemo3's feet, which could potentially weather the storm, wipe out, and then half of his army very hard if it remains clustered like this. Which obviously he won't. He will unpack this over the next turns and try to make, as in the first game, a very aggressive play in my eyes. Of somewhat one of a major try to Yard tore down, concerned about gun lines, hopefully with a bit of luck getting a quick kill on either of the storm striders in Nemo3's feet, or which could potentially one flank wipe out and then half of his army very hard if it remains clustered like this. Which obviously he won't. He will unpack this over the next turns and try to make, as in the first game, a very aggressive play in my eyes. So we have Tor going into the tank a little bit, try to tore down, whilst hopefully with he thinks get away quick of countering on either of the storm striders in Nemo3's feet, or which could potentially one flank wipe. Okay, Barskaman, and thank you for the commentary, for the advice. We're getting a bit of an echo on the commentary. You want to try the next turns and try to make and modify the settings a little bit. We have Tor going into the tank a little bit, try to down, whilst hopefully he thinks get away quick of countering on either of the storm striders in Nemo3's feet, or which could potentially one flank wipe. Okay, Barskaman, and thank you for the commentary, for the advice. So it's all deep in the tank right now. You want to try, really trying to think, what can I modify the settings. Potentially he may have to put himself into a position where he has to electroleap his own guys in order to get any kills this time. The question is, will it be worth it? One flank. Okay, Barskaman, and thank you for the commentary, for the advice. So it's all deep in the tank right now. You want to try, really trying to think, what can I modify the settings. Potentially he may have to put himself into a position where he has to electroleap his own guys in order to get any kills this time. The question is, will it be worth it? One flank. Okay, Barskaman, and thank you for the commentary, for the advice. So it's all deep in the tank right now. Try, really trying to think, what can I modify settings. Potentially he may have to put himself into a position where he has to sound is better now. Leap his own guys in order to get any kills this time. The question is, will it be worth it?
I will do a microphone check very quickly. Whilst Tor considers his next actions. Already at 47 minutes on the clock, and he has yet to activate.
Really trying to think, what can I modify? Potentially he may have to put himself into a position where he has
I hope the sound is better now.
Leap his own guys in order to get any kills this time. The question is, will it be worth it?
I will do a microphone check very quickly. Whilst Tor considers his next actions. Already at 47 minutes on the clock, and he has yet to activate.
Really trying to think, what can I modify? Potentially he may have to put himself into a position where he
I hope the sound is better now.
Leap his own guys in order to get any kills this time. The question is, will it be worth it?
I will do a microphone check very quickly. Whilst Tor considers his next actions.
Okay.
47 minutes on the clock, and he has yet to activate.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope the sound is better now. We're still adjusting everything over here.
So any apologies if it has not been up to standard, we will work on it as quickly as possible. So right now, the Nemo3 player is deep in the tank. He's really trying to figure out what his options are. Okay, there is a significant chance that he may not get. I hope the sound is better now. Anything significant out of this turn. Still adjusting and may have to position himself very defensively. Apologies. And just towing into the zones on the flanks, holding his own zone, and waiting for Jarle to unpack his army so that he can get a shot in from some angle. The Nemo3 player is deep in the tank. He's really trying to figure out what his options are. Okay, there is a significant chance that he may not get. I hope the sound is better now. Anything significant out of this turn. Still adjusting and may have to position himself very defensively. Apologies. And just towing into the zones on the flanks, holding his own zone, and waiting for Jarle to unpack his army so that he can get a shot in from some angle. The Nemo3 player is deep in the tank. He's really trying to figure out what his options are. Okay, there is a significant chance that he may not get. I hope the sound is better now. Anything significant out of this turn. Still adjusting and may have to position himself very defensively. Apologies. And just towing into the zones on the flanks, holding his own zone, and waiting for Jarle to unpack his army so that he can get a shot.
First guy. Which I am happy about. Yeah.
Okay, Tor's just asking to see some of Jarle's cards. Probably for some damage that is supposedly incoming soon. Jarle is searching his deck for his Warjack cards. So hopefully we're going to be seeing some damage going down. I'm very curious to see what Tor's plan is to enable that. If any of you are watching, could you let me know whether you are still having difficulties with the audio and whether there is any echo left? Otherwise, I will change things. If not, then we're great.
Yeah. Let's do a blow on the rabbit.
Okay.
Power 18.
Here we go. So we're starting to see some activations now from Tor. He's going to be putting down some proxies. So he's going to choose to try and go through the woods. We have a Firefly getting ready to position in order to do so, get the damage aura bonus. On what appears to be one of Haley3's Grenadiers that is leading the charge. Here we have one of the Storm Lancers being committed to act as a lightning rod. Here we have Strange Ways positioning now. Strange Ways in this list is not marshalling any Warjacks.
Yeah, sure. Five guys. Power 18. Yeah. Armor.
So what we're going to be seeing here is Probably some Stormcaller action to start things off with, it looks like. Yeah. So we have the Stormcaller going in. And then we have the first Grenadiers getting Electro-leaped. 8 on the damage roll, enough to break armor. Doing approximate 4 boxes, I believe, to the Firefly. Then, as measured previously, the Firefly from Tor is moving into position to get the Jarl's Grenadier in range. There we go. We're on to the Stormcaller activation now. Sorry, Stormstrider activation. My apologies. Echoing problem has gone away. Fantastic. I'm very glad to hear that. I believe it was the laptop's audio of the Twitch stream that was looping back around that was giving us the problems. So we have more shots going in. Manages to not kill his own Storm Lance, which is good. And then a few more boxes on the Grenadier. Second Stormstrider advances up. Has a total of 3 power tokens now. And takes another shot at the Storm Lance. And a boosted damage roll. Not boosted, sorry. But another few points to the Grenadier. Starting to lose potentially his left arm. If we can see it correctly. So we have a fair few boxes on the front Grenadier, and we have a trencher as casualties from this round shooting. Tor now repositioning up in the north very conservatively, but threatening the flank. With whom? It looks like that might be the Junior. It looks either this model up here is a Junior or a Stormcaller. Let me go and find out. It is indeed a Stormcaller making the flanking maneuver at the very top of the map. Thunderhead is just holding position. We have a junior warcaster in the bottom over here with his battle group Firefly over there.
I assume because it can also charge and get material. It's okay. Yep, you say so. They hear the order, but they cannot receive it. So the order is given.
Okay. And Tor shifts the clock to Jarle with 35 minutes left on the clock and the feat still available. Just measuring threat from Jarle's front grenadier to Arlen, Strangeways? Potentially. It looks to be out of range. So the question is now, how will Jarle unpack his army and how much will he commit to at least stay even, if not pull ahead on scenario? So we have Arcane Shield up on the top Storm Strider in Tor zone up here, and we have Electrify on the bottom Storm Strider. So Jarle considering his options now. Tor has made the choice to leave the bottom circular zone completely empty and uncontested. Confident in his abilities that Jarle will not be able to get a full unit within that zone to score it, because obviously the threat of the Storm Strider shooting and also of course Thunderhead. Hello, Rabala Scott. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. So I believe we are removing dig-in tokens right now. Getting ready for Jarle's turn. He's considering his options. He currently has a Firefly and Stormlance freely available. The question is, how much will he commit to destroying them? And how much will he expose himself in doing so? Also the question of how he will continue the strategy into the long game in terms of scenario and attrition, about what targets he needs to destroy in order to safeguard his victory. The Storm Striders at armor 21 and armor 22 are going to be a huge problem. So the question is whether or not the Haley3 list has enough firepower to be able to deal with them. So just for you viewers at home, it might not be immediately recognizable from here. The color on Jarle's army is fairly dark. Let's go for the top view. Let us just take a look at his army positioning. He has an objective centrally with a grenadier, which is now damaged, leading the charge. On either side of these grenadiers there are pockets of Elixir 1 Risen. Then we have the front of the line being held mainly by trencher infantry, with 2 trench busters flanking left and right to provide their shield guard bubble. Here in the back we have the trencher long gunners, which also have a UA. And I will find out the individual Haley and Echo locations for you now.
Okay, so feet up. Show me the limits of it, of the feet.
So further in terms of positioning, we have Thorn right here, providing a line of sight screen to the 1, 2, 3 Haleys in the middle, with Elixir all the way in the back, and the second Grenadier on the left flank. We have some proxies going down for the Cloud War. So it looks like he's going to plan on contesting the bottom zone, trying to trade for the Firefly and the Stormlance as cheaply as possible, and maintaining the scenario score as 1-1. He may be in a position to contest Tor's rectangular zone with a Risen, in which case he has the capability of putting himself in the scenario lead. We have an attack from the Grenadier going now and removing the Stormlance. So the Stormlance has been removed. The Firefly is tantalizingly close but behind a forest. Not only is he behind a forest, making it difficult to get to, but Jarle will have to enter the forest and expose himself in order to do so, thus allowing for return fire and all the accommodating electroleaps from Tor's Nemo3 list, which may potentially give him the chance to have a really good feat turn. I think he's just positioning Maxwell Finn right now. Or it could be Commander Hitch. Yeah, it looks like that was Commander Hitch. Commander Hitch having different battle plans. First one being press the advantage, whereby a friendly trencher model unit gains Swift Hunter. Second being target priority, where they gain combined arms, which allows them to reroll combined ranged attacks, or tenacity for feigned death. Probably he's going to go for the tenacity here, so that trenches who do get hit and pass their tough check have feigned death. Okay, so we have Alexia and the Risen activating now. This being Alexia 1. Having to make sure that they're all within command range and not blocking his own models. This is obviously the drawback of splitting your unit the way Jarle is doing right now. But he's an experienced player and he knows what he's doing. Okay. Now the Risen doing what they do best, getting in the way. We have a Risen solo being created, which may potentially have a charge range on the Journeyman's Firefly. We will see very shortly if he has the range or not. It looks like it. We have a charge. Oh. Misses the charge attack. Misses the charge attack. Unfortunate. Would have been nice to get a few free boxes on the Firefly. That finishes the activation for Alexia and the Risen. They're effectively, the unit is contesting all three zones. There we go, that's the activation for the front grenadier. He is simply going to retreat and try and take a shot at the Firefly. Ooh. Nice damage roll. And that Firefly has lost almost half of its boxes. One left. He leaves it on one box. How will he finish the job? There's more than enough guns to go around, but he wants to make sure to expose himself as little as possible. He wants to make sure he uses the grenadiers for their job, which is to keep the cloud wall going. So he has to think carefully now about how he positions, because that Firefly is not easy to get a line of sight on. Potentially, looking back, he may have been better off with this charge going into this Firefly instead, as opposed to the one in the bottom. Time will tell. So the Grenadiers have activated, which is Jarle's main form of anti-armor shooting. The long gunners may potentially be able to draw a line of sight just along here if they advance, but then they will be blocking the Grenadiers in forming their cloud wall, which might be counterproductive. That, I believe, is Maxwell Finn, who just activated.
Whatever, No, he's not. Okay, so it kills, right? Okay.
So the question is now, how does Jarle remove the Firefly without exposing to himself? Preferably without entering the woods. Because if he has to enter the woods to get line of sight for a gunshot, then it means that Thor's army can see that model, and if it's something that has enough boxes, then it's very easy to bounce 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 electroleaps off that model. Jarle now reaching 35 minutes on the clock, leaving both players tied on clock time. The Grenadiers are activating now. And now we will see how many he will commit, if any, to finishing the Firefly in the middle. So once again setting up the cloud wall, making sure everyone has range. And he can in fact barely get a 6th cloud within command. Obviously posing a huge problem for Thor. I mean, we are talking about almost 2 feet of line of sight blocking, solid line of sight blocking in the middle. We have a combined range attack, which hits, and because of the +2 damage from the combined, automatically kills the Firefly. Reposition comes into play now from Tactical Supremacy, making sure to leave as few electro leap targets as possible. So currently the only thing that has any real visibility to Thor's, from Thor's side of the army, is these 3 Risen in the bottom, and potentially along the side there may be some long gunners that can be targeted. As repositioning is activating, that was, I believe, was the journeyman. No journeyman. Ragman, sorry. Looks like he's going to be positioning Haley3 just within the kill zone. Apologies. While the trencher busters will continue to do their shield guard duty as they advance up the field. So the big question on Thor's mind now, obviously, is how many rounds am I going to have to deal with this crappy cloud wall? And the answer is probably quite a few. It will start shrinking once the damage comes through, but he may be forced into positions whereby he has to sacrifice more Storm Lancers to serve as Electro Leap targets. Okay, Jarle has shifted the turn. I believe both players score 1 control point. Oh, not yet. Of course, Jarle had first turn. Oh no, we did not. He had second turn. They're just going to get the scoring widgets, which will make it easier for us. To the Barska Mannen, yes, that is indeed Norbert in the background. He is currently playing on the Warroom PL2 stream in a K-Door mirror match. So you are welcome to check out that channel as well, side by side with this one. And just get comfortable and relax. So we're going to be seeing a little bit of tank time from Jarle now, where he considers what he can touch with his forces. Sorry, Thor. He has a limited line of sight around the top of the map, the top 12 o'clock edge of the smoke wall. He has a potential to get some shots inside and through the smoke wall in the bottom position. And for the rest, the central forces of Jarle's blob of annoyingly high defense models will remain practically untouched, I believe at least. So Thor is once again forced into the same dilemma he was forced into last turn. What of my pieces do I have to sacrifice to even achieve anything useful this round? There are still some Storm Lancers left to donate to this charitable cause. This one and this one, in my eyes, being the best two targets. One being able to get in here to potentially get some good leaps going on, and the other being able to go into this space once those risen have been trivially removed from the table. However, at the same time, Thor is, of course, always looking for the assassination with the Force Hammer, Feet, Electro Leap combo. But it's going to be hard to pull off in this kind of a scenario where line of sight is so limited. Also, now is the turn where Thor has to start contesting the bottom zone, which he will initially do most likely with the Storm Strider, which will be largely safe from major retaliation, especially due to his Electrify spell bringing him to armor 21, which will go a long way towards countering Jarle's pop guns.
Second shot.
So neither of these lists really bring a overly heavy melee focus. So the chances are that the table state that you see now is going to be a very similar one to the table state that you see 2 turns from now, except with less pieces. I think both players want to dance at the 10 to 12 to 14 inch range of each other to get the most out of their forces. Jarle has the advantage that he can slowly creep up the board, but he can't be too aggressive with his cloud wall, or else Tor will merely walk through it, feet, and try to kill everything in Haley3's army. So we have the first proxies going down. Most likely either a Firefly proxy. It looks like a Firefly proxy. To see whether he can get range on Thorn and this Grenadier. Would be my estimate of what he's doing right now. In which case we might be looking at another Firefly Stormlance Electroleap festivities, where hopefully he would roll as well as he did in the first turn in managing to not kill his own Stormlance. Thunderhead is most likely just going to take some pot shots to clear these Risen and position to try and keep himself safe, so that he can at one point during this game just do one massive Electropulse and take out a whole bunch of Grenadiers, maybe even solos, even some Warjacks, you know. Jarle doesn't feature any heavy Warjacks in this list. He doesn't have any armor values on his battle group really bigger than 15. So a fully boosted Electropulse will do a fair bit of damage. So that looks like the Stormlance proxy. Yeah. Looks like he's measuring a charge, which hopefully will, with the impact hits, take him to where he wants to go and clear out those 3 Risen. Yeah, there are the impact hits. Leaving 1 charge lance attack on the last Risen. Apologies, it's not even a lance attack because they don't have the lance special rule, even though they are the only ones actually called lances. Let's take a look at where the second Stormlance going. So he's committing both of them, having already committed a third one last turn for the Electroleaps. So he's going to be penetrating this cloud cover and trying to reposition that cavalry into such a position that he can get at least 3, maybe 4 really good Electroleaps. That's what he needs right now. So the charge attack obviously has to go on the Risen, the Trencher being out of line of sight of the initial charging model. We have a reposition into the cloud cover, trying to make sure to get that he gets that 4 inch on that Grenadier also taking care to make sure that the top storm lance, this one right here, to be outside of the engagement range of this trencher in order to make him easier to shoot. And he's doing the same thing with the second storm lance here, making sure that he can get the 4-inch for the leap, and then he's hoping to clear these grenadiers here with the first 1 or 2 electro leaps coming off of this horse, and then being able to use this horse to leap onto the grenadier and beyond. I will just check what the models are precisely. So these 4 infantry models here are in fact all trenches.
So what you want to do if I understand you right, you want to come this way, put both of them.
It's a bit more fun playing against the this time than I really had some play. First time was like, what the hell?
So we have Arlen Strangeways positioning in the bottom. We have the Stormcaller maybe taking the first shots, I believe. Yeah. Hitting. Number of bounces is 2 bounces, one of which fails. It's tough check. Second electro leap misses. So now it's time to commit the Storm Strider. The bottom Storm Lance, I believe, is potentially engaged with that Grenadier. Take a look at the first shot. Will hit. Oh, power tokens, I believe that was the roll. Oh, he has power tokens. Two bounces. He gets 1 bounce onto the Grenadier. And does 3 boxes. Oh, we have a triple bounce from the second shot. Failing to... Oh my goodness. Oh wow. And the third one toughs. Triple bounce, 0 kills. That is very unfortunate. He really needed to kill those Grenadiers to make sure that this Cloud Wall doesn't go back up next turn. And there are still at least 1, 2, 3 Grenadiers that will be able to re-Cloud Wall approximately here next turn once these 2 Storm Lancers have been removed. He really needed to kill these 2 models to prevent that from happening and to open up the right flank. It's very unfortunate to roll that badly. Yes, Friedrich, we are indeed having a Cygnar festival over here. So now we're going to go to the north flank. Ooh, a little bit of a nudge, quote unquote. Top Storm Lancers going in. He's committing 2 of them, saving 1 for potentially the next turn. Going in against Risen. and leaping into a grenadier who dies. Second charge attack, kills another risen and another leap, fails to kill the grenadier behind. Repositioning sideways to get the electro leap chain going through here and here potentially. I will check on the table to see if that is a viable option.
So what happens is you're going to go 6 point of impact is 6 inches away. And then I have to double check how far it scatters. So it scatters a certain distance and then he lands. None of them. Throwing them over the top. If it were a slam, that would literally thrown it in the air.
These models are indeed all base to base for the purposes of electro leaping. We have the dog back here. We have Haley3 herself standing here with Grandma Haley over here and Baby Haley over here.
It's still a melee attack. No, it's neither. So I don't think he gets a bonus. So I think it's just
Shadow Band is on the weapon ability, but it's not Shadow Band.
We still have at least 1, 2, 3, 4 risen and 1, 2, 3 trenches on this north side. So the cloud wall will most likely be going up next turn if Jarle is able to remove those 4 storm lances. Ooh. We managed to fail once again to snipe those bottom trenches.
Skal vi bare ta det på CP? Ja, det kan vi. Du skårer deg nå, og så bare skårer jeg
And we have a GG, apparently.
Ja, ja.
For jeg merket nå at jeg kunne egentlig aldri gå for å gjøre noe. For det er ikke nok. Det var aldri nok.
Hvis hadde klart å spille bedre her, så hadde de såka enda bedre også.
Ja, det var liksom...
Who just
Matchupen med denne lista virker egentlig veldig dårlig.
conceded?
Hvis jeg begynner,
Ja, men jeg tror ikke matchupen...
med Tower sang du.
Ja, jeg mener med lista. Altså... Jeg vet ikke om du kunne funnet på noe voldsomt bedre.
What's up? Alright, so basically he hasn't done anything. Yeah. On my next turn now, all the POCs, they just have to pop him. Yep. And I cleared those solos, that guy.
And both the grenadiers shoot him.
Yeah, no, it was a good idea. I thought she was gonna just...
Yeah, you got fucked everything.
Yeah, but I also fucked up these guys.
That's what he's
supposed to score.
Oh, he's not.
He's not contesting.
Theoretically, he takes damage.
One of the horses needed to contest. I need to go up 3-1.
So you need to kill these 2 guys, score this one.
But I'm still very far down on it. Like,
So now he scores 1 and we go to 1-1 instead of him going 3-1. So I'll just clear the zone and I'll score a lot and I'll and I'm way ahead of him on the clock. Which is bad here. And I like that's a lot of cool.
my triples are...
Yeah, absolutely. That counts.
Yeah, and you can't ever really go in, you don't have enough leaps.
Because I think what I
Because
do...
you can't chain lightning, because if you chain lightning, Nemo dies. So you really struggle to get the volume on the leaps.
Plus you have to give him your model every single time. He doesn't have to.
Yeah. I
What
think,
happens now
yeah.
is I spawn these tokens and then the reason just runs down those guys and I clear. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
So we do in fact have a concede. A concede from Tor's side because of several things. The plan on Tor's side was to clear this top zone, clear this bottom zone, score them both with the Storm Lancers, was to inflict significant casualties on the infantry, potentially also on the rifle teams in the background, and then to score up to 3-1. He actually failed to do either of those because, firstly, these two grenadiers made all their tough rolls and refused to die. Secondly, he actually repositioned his top Storm Lance outside of the zone, thus preventing him from scoring. And he also repositioned this Storm Lance over here, outside of this bottom zone, whereby he didn't score that zone either. Next turn it would have been very easy for Jarle to remove 1, 2, 3, 4 Storm Lancers to clear these remaining top models from the top zone, and to use his 2 Grenadiers and Firefly to remove Thunderhead. He would have then followed that up by using all of the tokens from Alexia, which he had gathered, to aggressively place Risen in jamming positions to stop Tor from being able to contest the top 2 zones, and then he would have easily won on scenario. In addition to that, as you can see up here, there is a significant clock difference, and Tor spent too much time in the tank in the first and second round, whereby he didn't have enough time left to be able to play the long game, especially against Haley3, who is very clock intensive to play against because of this complex line of sight and defense puzzle that she poses to your opponent. It costs whoever plays into Haley3, it takes them a lot of time to get through all of the defensive tech. So a win for Jarle via concession. So I guess that counts as a caster kill? I don't know. I'll find out. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We will have a short lunch break now, and then we should be back streaming round 3 of the Masters, hopefully within the next hour. So we have some commentary here from the chat. You should have played it out, says the El Ross. That could potentially have worked, but he would have, I think, needed better dice in his second turn, which he just had. Third turn, in order to make that an option. I think had he killed the trenches, had he cleared the zone, at least one zone, and scored at least one zone 2-1, then maybe there would have been an opportunity to play it out. But in this situation, yes, I have the sheets. There you go. Thank you very much. Then we have Suma Cabra saying he should have focused on one side. That indeed is a solid plan. The only drawback is that you have to shoot your own guys in order to be able to get those electro leaps. And with the Risen and with the tough rolls and with the fact that you will eventually kill your Storm Lancers with electro leap shots, that might be a big drawback, and it might cost you the game on scenario if your opponent notices it and starts scoring the uncontested zone very quickly. So the Elros, that's correct. Haley3 is also very intensive to play with, which is why it's super important to get the practice in. And I think Jarle has practiced this list enough to the point where he is comfortable with it in terms of clock management. So here the player is just calculating. It is a dice game. Absolutely, it is a dice game. And there are a couple of rolls that... The thing is, when you're rolling a damage roll to kill a trencher, it's never that one roll that decides the game. However, if you mess up a couple of rolls at the wrong time on the wrong trencher, it can be a dice losing game. And they stack up, you know. If the dice go against you once, you can compensate for it. If they go against you 2-3 times in a row, sometimes it's hard to come back from that. And that's what may have happened here. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this stream. I hope you had an enjoyable match. I hope the quality of the stream was good enough. Any commentary that you have, any feedback, we would love to hear it. And we will see you soon for round 3 of the Masters. This has been your host, George Busher, from ClogCon2017. See you next time.